This episode of I Was a Teenage Film Snob is not brought to you by the Criterion Collection, which makes sense, but it would be cool if it did. All right, enjoy the show. Welcome to I Was a Teenage Film Snob. I'm James Chalmers, and yep, that's true. I really was a teenage film snob. I'm kind of an adult film snob now as well, but that's not why we're here. We're here to talk to a friend or family member, as you know, every single week about some of their favourite movies. This week's guest is relatively new to the film snob family. Previously, my guests, I've known a really long time, actually, generally 15 to 20 years, most of them. The youngest person, I think, was Nick, who I've known for 10 years. Today's guest is someone a lot newer, someone from my work life. I previously have not blended my personal life and work life too much, but this person has become such a good friend and someone that I really like and respect and has a really cool interest in film as well, that I thought I'd break the rule this once and get her on the show. So without further ado, someone who I work very close with and I respect a lot and has seen Batman more than me, so you know that's a good sign as well. Please welcome to the show, Gabby Van Cuylenburg.
Hi. I was like, wow, what a build-up! And then you keep saying how much you respect me. I'm like, oh my gosh, flatterer.
I was like, I think I said it a couple of times. I'm like, they're gonna be like, he really doesn't respect her. He said it that many times. You can't respect her that much.
He's a liar.
I do though. It's funny. When we've only known each other about a year, and I don't really make. I'm an old man. I'm not looking for new friends. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? My making friends days have come and gone. The chance of getting in under the threshold at this point are pretty slim, I think. But yeah, we've only known each other about a year, and we started I guess we were casual acquaintances when we first started working. I won't name where we work, obviously.
Yeah,
because I want to keep my job. But then obviously we kind of got put on a special project together about 9 months ago. I began working really closely, and then I guess the kind of friendship came from there. But yeah, I always think back to the first time I had any conversation with you. I always remind you of this.
Oh, geez.
We were in the break room at work, and I was talking about my daughter Zoe, and she was a real chubber, and I was like, she's just such a little chub still. The way she moves around, she's so chubby. And you walk in, we've never met before, and you're like, who are you talking about? And I was like, just my daughter. My daughter, she's 6 months old. And, that's okay. You shouldn't talk about adults that way. And that was our introduction.
Geez, insecure much? Oh, my gosh. I was like, geez, what kind of workplace am I in when people just feel happy enough to call other people chubsters? That's a bit rude.
The other thing I wanted to point out, because we definitely will get into your story and how you came to be a bit of a film fan, which, to be honest, I don't know how much of a film fan you are. We talk every day, but it's always about work stuff. So,
yeah.
So it will be interesting. I probably have less knowledge about your personal life than anyone else we've had on. But before I just lost my train of thought. What was I going to say?
I don't know.
This happens from time to time on the show.
My psychic powers don't extend over the internet, sorry.
Well, I guess we'll just jump into it, and then I'll remember halfway through. Now I remember what I was going to say.
Stop. Yeah.
But let's dive into it, because you are a bit younger than me. Not a whole lot younger than me, but I've got a few years on you. That's what I was going to say. Okay, cool. There it is. I found it.
We'll circle back.
Yeah, that's it. What's different about you as opposed to all the other guests so far is you're actually a listener.
Yes.
Of the show, which I know it must be a really huge moment for you right now to be in the presence of a star. So.
Yeah, they tell you never to meet your idols because they'll really let you down, but so far so good.
You're like, geez, forgetful, but aside from that, he's all right. It's funny because as I said before in the intro, I don't really mix my work and personal life, and I accidentally let it slip in a conversation that I had a podcast, and you're like, what was that? You zoned in on it straight away. But you listen regularly, so you actually are probably better prepared for this show than anyone else beforehand.
Yeah, when you did mention it, I do like listening to podcasts when I'm getting ready to go out or if I'm doing long drives. So because it just breaks up. I listen to the same music all the time, so it sort of breaks that up. And when I knew you were like a huge movie fan, obviously at work talking, I know your home setup is, just movie central. So when you did mention it, I was really interested. And initially I thought, am I going to really want to listen to someone who I speak to all day, every day for another few hours, like in my personal time? So I was hesitant, but like it just seems so natural just to hear other people talking about something that I'm also interested in. And I did, like, as I said to you, I found myself wanting to sort of join in, like, oh yeah, I love that movie. So it was like, it's really interesting. And I have enjoyed every episode. I think each of the guests that have come on have brought something different, especially like with your relationships with them. It's kind of interesting to learn, how you came to be, and like as you've grown up, like how you've become the person that you currently are, because everybody is different when they're like young and then a teenager and then a young adult, and then obviously becoming a parent has obviously changed the way you must look at things as well. So I
Absolutely.
think like it's been really interesting to hear like other people as well, because I end up talking to the same people all day every day as well, even just my friends. So just listening to people from other like workspaces and things like that has been quite interesting as well. Yeah.
It's such a lovely review. Like, I'll just take that clip and make that the trailer. It'll be like, guys, it's not as boring as you thought it would be. I thought I'd be sick of him, but he's okay. But that was always the idea, I've referenced it on previous shows where I used to run a podcast with my wife and one of my best friends, and then obviously like time constraints got in the way, and I was like, well, I don't want to force them to do something they don't want to do, but I want to do a lot. So what if I just had like 15 co-hosts and I just rotate them through on a mill and like see how we go, and it's kind of working so far. And the nice thing is that everyone seems to enjoy it, participating as well, which is good.
I think when I listen, like the conversation flows quite well, and like a normal conversation with friends, when you do get excited, you do tend to like start speaking quickly, and someone might speak over the other person, but it's not like in a rude or awkward way. It's like, oh no, I'm really excited, I want to talk too. So like I'm in the car or getting ready, and I'm like, oh, same.
That's my favorite thing. When you said, oh, I want to join the conversation, I was like, well, that's a not so subtle hint that you want to be on the show. But B, like, that's the podcast that I love listening to the most. That's how I feel, where I'm like, oh, yeah. I wish I was on so I could, give my thoughts. I wish I could, share my stories and join the conversation. So I was like, to me, that's the best compliment I could get. So I was like, oh my goodness, thank you. Like, I love that.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
But yes, my hints are as subtle as a brick. So, I mean, I'll throw it out there and hope you catch it.
It's so funny because before you even drop the hints, and I promise the listeners we will get to the show in a moment once I'm done, building myself up and feeling so good about myself. But even before you drop the hints, I was like, I wonder if Gabby would like to. I reckon Gabby's a good talker. Like, we have good conversations. She'll probably want to do it. But I was like, I'll just see how we go. And so you were like, literally, I've been scheduling like a madman. Like, I've got at least one more show this week that I'll be recording, and then I've got another one booked next week, and I've got like a whole list. And your name was on that list for the longest time with a question mark, being like, if she wants to, we'll see how we go. So, no, absolutely thrilled to have you on the show.
Hey, I'm excited.
Excellent. Well, let's get into it. So I know very little. I know that you've seen the Batman more than me, and I know you saw it before me, which is obviously a step in the right direction. But are you like a movie fan? Like, were you a bit of a film snob growing up, or when does your life kind of become filled with movies, and when do you become interested in them?
I think early on, when I was really young, like the furthest back I can remember is watching a lot of like Disney animated films growing up. So the Little Mermaid was my favorite. We had that on VHS. And I had it at my house, but also my grandparents' house, and I would spend a lot of time at my grandparents' house. They also lived in Coronella, which is like close to the beach. Like, they lived right on the beach. So I would, think that I'm Ariel and be very much into singing the songs and everything like that. So that was definitely like the start of like my fondness of movies, and then things like The Lion King and Aladdin, and I loved The Road to El Dorado as well. Like,
oh wow,
that movie. Yeah, I loved that movie. Also, there was this one that I remember getting it from the video shop so much was the Fern Gully movies, and that was like based on like an Australian like setting as well. So yeah, like those types of movies were like massive in my childhood. I think also because I grew up in the era where like the video stores were well established, so like it wasn't anything new or anything. It was just like something that we always had. And then I was maybe probably in primary school when they bought DVDs in as well. And we, you know, for a sleepover, you'd get the 7 weeklies or something, and one new hire. My dad would get the new hire and he'd be like, all right, go pick whatever amount of weeklies you want. And me and my friends would be like running all over the video. So like, oh, what about this one? What about this one? And yeah, it was the best fun. So yeah, that was probably where my love for movies started. And then going into high school, it became like a social thing because you weren't old enough to go out to the clubs, but I live with a pretty strict dad, so I wasn't really allowed to go to parties or anything like that. So going to the movies with my friends was like the big thing. So when I remember when I think I was maybe 14, maybe, when the first Paranormal Activity came out. Okay. And I was grounded at the time because I'd done something very naughty, and all of my friends went to go see it. Like 15 of them went to go to the movies, and I was by myself at home, like hating my life. I don't even like horror movies. In fact, I really don't, because I don't like being scared. But that being said, there are a few sort of horror ones on my list, but I really don't like those jump scare type movies. But I was so bummed out that I couldn't go because it was like a cool thing to go to the movies as this big group. And I couldn't go. So, but it became a big thing to go to the movies with everyone when I was in high school as well.
That's a real pain that I understand. Like, you've talked about a lot of things just then, like obviously the video store I've talked about again and again on the last few episodes. I loved the video store. Like, it was my favorite thing to do, go to the video store. So much so that like I worked at multiple video stores, and I think in one of the last episodes I talked about how I had, at one point I think 13 video cards, like because like everywhere, like I was just like, I'll just go to a different video store to see what they've got. You talked about all the Disney films, and like Little Mermaid, despite being possibly a little bit problematic in 2022, like, is a gorgeous movie.
Yeah.
Like, that's the golden age of Disney as far as I'm concerned. Like that kind of renaissance, kind of like you had Little Mermaid and Lion King and Aladdin. Like, you mentioned all three of those, and those are like three of the best ones. I would add Mulan to that as well. I love Mulan.
Oh yeah. I love Mulan, and also Hercules.
Yes, Hercules. We've been showing Zoe the music at the moment, like Zero to Hero, and like
yes.
She loves "I'll Make a Man Out of You." Like, she's just obsessed with
Love that song. Every now and again, I get a little bit like, oh, I'm sick of my own music, and I'll chuck like a Disney playlist on Spotify, and like that one always comes up, and it's like, turn it up.
It's a banger. It's great. But the thing you mentioned that I really related to, like, and that the pain is when everyone else goes to the movies and you don't get to. Like, it doesn't matter. I don't know what it is, and I don't think it's a universal pain. But I think if you're a movie fan or you like going to the movies socially, it really like hits you. I got a couple of memories of it. The first was when I was in grade 6, and one of my friends was going to see Scary Movie for a birthday party. I don't know how in grade 6 I went to see Scary Movie because it's an MA film. But I wasn't invited originally, but then someone dropped out, so I was invited. I was like, oh my God, that looks amazing. I had no idea how filthy Scary Movie was. Like, I just liked the whole, the killer hiding behind the couch with his legs sticking out. That was hilarious. And so I told my dad, he was like, no. And he wasn't clear as to why I couldn't go. He's like, well, you weren't invited the first time, so how good a friend could they really be? That's what he said.
Yeah, he wants the pity invite.
But I'm sure he meant like, no, this is a filthy movie. It's not for kids. But the one that really hit me was Spider-Man 2. So Spider-Man 2 came out, and I'd arranged to go see it with my school friends. And one of my mates was dating a girl that I liked, but that was fine, like whatever. And they were going to go to see Spider-Man 2. I remember, like, I called and said, look, I'm running late, but I'll be there. Buy me a ticket. I've got my cash. Like, I'll sort you out. And I get there, and they've gone in. And then afterwards, like the next day at school, like when I go there, they were like, oh, it sounded like you really weren't going to come. And I was like, no. I said, buy my ticket. I've got my cash. I'm just running late. Like, I don't know how that translated. And then I found out the guy, like one of the guys who went there, didn't even watch the movie, just made out with the girl that I liked the entire time. I was like, bro, I would have watched
Goodbye.
Spider-Man by Doc Ock for 2.5 hours. Like,
Goodbye. How dare you?
so I ended up like begging my mom. I was like, next one, I was like, we need to go see Spider-Man 2, like, please. And my brother didn't like going to the movies at all, but even he was like, look, he got pretty shafted by his friends on this one, so we'll give him a chance. And I still get that. If I go to a cinema and I can't go to a movie for some reason, if it's a sold out session, I do get like bummed out. I'm like, why?
Yeah, because it's like the fear of missing out. Like everyone else gets to do it and you don't. You're like, oh, now I'm like a loser because like everyone else can talk about it and not me. And like even if it like I said, Paranormal Activity, I didn't care to see it. I knew I was going to be scared the whole time, but it was just like the fact that everyone else would be talking about it when we got back to school, and I'd be like, yeah, I spent the whole holidays in my bedroom because I was grounded. Yay for me! Like I know that.
I can't relate to being grounded because I was just a real, like, apple polisher. Like, I was just like always.
I haven't heard that term before, but I like it. An apple
I don't even know
polisher.
it's real, but like it seemed right at the time. I was a very good boy. I always did what my parents told me to do for the most part. So I can't relate to being grounded, but I can relate to the FOMO of it all. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think also like now that we've talked about it, I think the first movie I remember going to see in the cinema was Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. And I actually had already seen it because our next door neighbor had like some pirated copy. Ooh, bad.
Yeah.
Some pirated copy that he'd found online and knew that I was obsessed with Harry Potter. And so he let us watch it. And the scene where they're in Borgin and Burke's and the hand, like the petrifying hand, like grabs Harry's wrist, I knew it was coming. I had read the book 100 million times. I got into the cinema. I was with my mom and this, you know how, like, I don't know if parents still do it in the age of 2022, but they're like, oh, is this your little boyfriend? It was just a boy that I hung out with at school.
Yeah, I remember.
But it was just me and him and his mum and my mum. And we're all sitting at the movies and I had the popcorn on my lap and I jumped so high. The popcorn flew everywhere. It went in my hair, my mum's hair, his mum's hair, his hair. Like my mum was picking it out of her bra when we got home. She's like, oh, what the hell? And then like I was really like cheesed off because I literally had about an inch of popcorn left at the bottom, and he had a popcorn, Maltesers, and a choc top, and he wouldn't share with me. And I was like, okay, well, you're ditched. You're ditched when we get back to school.
Not a very good boyfriend, obviously.
Yeah, the worst. Like he got dumped straight away. But yeah, like just thinking about things like that. And then also when I was young, like my dad and I used to go to the drive-ins a lot.
Like, we haven't talked about the drive-in on the show before. Tell me.
Yeah, so we live pretty close to the drive-ins in Dandenong. And it's always been like really big, but they would have like double features. So I remember like we'd go, my dad and I would go, or like we'd go with my mum as well, and like they'd get the double feature. So we'd watch like the kids movie at the start of the night and not falling asleep, and then watch whatever movie was afterwards. The last movie I remember going to see with my dad at the drive-ins, I think, was the second Scooby-Doo movie.
Classic.
So and like it was just so good just to go and like sit in the car with the popcorn and everything. It was very cool. I still like going to the drive-ins because again, it's not very far from me, so it is good, especially in summer. Like you can sit in the back, and people bring like deck chairs and bean bags, and like they go all out now. And they've just recently done up the diner that they used to have in there. So it used to be a little bit dingy. Now it's far bigger, so you can fit more people in there. And yeah, they've like done this big expansion on it, and the toilets are all nice and fancy now. But like, yeah, it's really cool. Like I still love going. My dad also used to have a ute, so we'd like sit in the back. He put like mattresses in the back. Yeah, it was very cool. Yeah.
I'm glad you brought the driving because, as I said, we haven't spoken about it on the show before, but I was a big drive-in kid as well. Like we would go, the first movie I remember seeing at the drive-in, and I'm sure it wasn't this, but I remember seeing Finding Nemo in the drive-in with my mum. but I think I went to the drive-in one time before, around 97 or 98, because the Phantom was playing, and we didn't see the Phantom because the Phantom sucks. But like, and I don't mean the movie, I mean the character. Like, of all the comic book characters, he's my least favorite. But it was.
Why did I think you were talking about Phantom of the Opera?
No, like the guy in the purple spandex.
Right, yeah.
I can't remember what it was, but we did go to the movies in 97 or 98 whenever the Phantom came out. We watched something, but I can't remember what it was, but definitely Finding Nemo. And then we would have done a bunch of others. And then I remember I took my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, to the drive-in, and we went and saw Kick-Ass.
Okay.
I don't know I don't know whether she'd never been to the drive-in or whether it was just like, hey, it'd be something fun, something different. It's cheap. The drive-in's cheap, but I love the drive-in.
It is. It's way cheaper than the normal movies. I think for the price of one like Village Cinemas ticket, you can get into the drive-ins with like a full car. So,
and I had a terrible car at the time, so I had to like keep turning it on and off to like defog the windows. And it wasn't because like there was anything like sus going on. No, it wasn't like. It was just like it was an old car, so I had to keep turning it on and off, and people were getting annoyed, and like the speakers weren't great. But I used to love doing that. I love going to all like alternative cinemas. Like I don't know if you've been to the Moonlight Cinema, like that one's great.
No, but I do really want to go to that. I'm just like, I feel like I'm a prime target for mosquitoes, so like that's why I haven't gone, because I know that I'll be like, oh, this is the best, and then like 2 days later I'll be like, cool, I am a mosquito bite.
Yeah, I can't remember what we saw. I think we might have seen Edward Scissorhands or something at the outdoor theater. It was like
another good movie.
When I first started dating my wife, all of her friends were like, we're going to Moonlight Cinema, and I've never been before. I was like, hey, I'll tag along. I thought, like, who is this guy? But I had a great time. There's a cinema in the US, which I've never been to, but they show Jaws in the swimming pool. I think that's pretty cool.
Oh, that they do that actually at SeaWorld. They not Jaws, but they do like a cinema experience there where you like sit in a donut and they play in the wave pool, but obviously not with any waves because that would be a bit hard to watch the movie. But yeah, like it's pretty cool.
I would totally watch Titanic in a wave pool once the boat starts sinking. Like that's
have a bit of Celine in the background.
Turn
and
on
whoa.
Turn on the waves. That'd be great. Nice one. I'm actually in the process right now. I was talking to my wife the other day. I was like, what I want to do is convert our patio into an outdoor cinema. So that's what I'm thinking about doing.
That would be sick.
Yeah. But it's just a long list of projects. Nice one. So obviously the cinema played a big role in your teen years, and obviously the video store as a kid, which is very much like I remember like when I was a kid, I didn't go to the movies much at all, unless I was with a grandparent. Like my grandma would take us to the movies.
Yeah, I think I once conned my grandpa into seeing it was a Spy Kids 3D, and he hated it.
I think Spy Kids 3D is an underrated film. I love all the Spy Kids films, even 4 I don't.
Yeah, me too.
But 3, like them stuck in a video game is a great concept. And yeah, I loved Spy Kids. I remember I bought it on DVD the day it came out, and I came with little 3D glasses and everything. I've still got it somewhere.
Yes, yep. Yeah, and I loved it. He was like not a big fan, but also like I don't think he was ever going to be a big fan of that. So I don't think he was disappointed. He just wanted to hang out. So
yeah, I'm trying to think. Like my grandparent, like my grandma got dragged for a lot of trash. Like I think she was probably there for the Pokemon movie. Like she was probably there for like and I like the Pokemon movie, but like it's when you're 80 years old and you don't understand what kids are into these days, it's a bit confusing.
Yeah, the young whippersnappers, they drag you to a lot of things.
And then did the cinema play like a larger role as you, I guess, became an adult, as they say, like after you left school? Is it like, for me, the cinema is a go-to date move. Like I know it's not a great date because you don't get to talk, but like for me, like it's always been the dinner and movie date that I always take my wife on.
Well, speaking of someone who's been single for a while, it definitely is one of the go-tos. But I like going, like I don't go as often as I want to because I feel like because I am like the single friend, all my friends are in relationships, they'll go with their boyfriends. So I'm often like, oh, I guess I'm going to wait till it comes out on Netflix or wherever. Because by the time I'm like free to see it, they're like, oh, I've already seen it. But definitely, which is why I'll be like, oh, do you want to go here and watch this with someone, you've been talking to for a couple of weeks? Because it's like, oh, well, even if you're boring, the movie won't be. So, I mean, I saw the Spider-Man movie on a date because I knew I really wanted to see it, but I didn't really know if the person I was going with was like going to be that cool. Like I've seen a bunch of movies on dates. I think like Jurassic World. I saw a bunch of movies on dates. But I think like something that I waited way too long to experience was Gold Class, which again, it's because I feel like that's a very coupley thing to do. And I waited, I think it took me but I watched Bohemian Rhapsody in Gold Class. That was my first ever Gold Class movie, which I did love.
Oh, that is late. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it only came out like, what, 2 years ago?
2018,
maybe 3 years.
I think it was.
So. Yeah, I was like, yeah. So not like it's only a recent movie. But yeah, like I wish I had experienced that sooner because like I love that. Like it just felt so fancy and like they brought the food and everything was very cool. And then now that Hoyts is like their normal cinemas, like they have the recline seats and that's very cool. I do enjoy that. But I think one thing that I want to start doing like with movies now is like step away from like the norm kind of movies because I watch like what's popular, but then like people will mention like, oh, like this movie and like some of the movies even that you like mentioned with other guests, I'm like, see, I wanted to watch that, but I didn't really know. And now I'm like kind of interested to watch that. And I'm worried. I'm like, am I behind the curve? Like, is this too late? If I start talking about it now, people can be like, yeah, we know. So, but I think as an adult, I've definitely stuck to like the more mainstream stuff because it's like something to do, something to go and do. But yeah, like I think you were talking about like Shape of Water that came out a couple of years ago. Like I haven't seen that and I really want to.
It's weird. Like it's not mainstream, but it's a great movie.
Yeah.
That's great. Like that to me is a sign of a film fan. Like when you were saying like I'd ask my friends and they're like, I've already seen that. That's me like, well, so? Like I saw I saw Infinity War in cinemas 4 times. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I think I saw Spider-Man, and I'm not like super into the MCU. I'm not like super into superhero movies. But if something's good, I'll rewatch it. It doesn't matter. I'll go see it with 6 different people. I don't care. Yeah. I think I saw it 3 times. I've seen the Batman twice. I want to see it again. Like I really enjoy if it's something good, like I'll go see it multiple times. But yeah, when someone's like, I've already seen it, it's like, oh, okay, you hate me. That's fine. Just say that.
Yeah, I was talking about this with my sister on the last episode because she and I, in particular, my brother a little bit, but definitely her and I, are big rewatchers. Like growing up, we would just rent the same thing over and over again. So I don't see a problem with seeing the same thing in movies like more than once. I think it's good. And
yeah, I agree.
I do agree with the Gold Class thing as well. Like you're definitely late to it, but now that I'm in a job that I'm not bragging, but now I'm in a job where I can afford to treat myself a little bit, and I'm not going to the movies as much. I'm like, why wouldn't I go to Gold Class as much as possible? Like I used to go to the movies every week. Like that's what I did in 2017. I went to the movies every single week. And now now it's like once every couple of months. So it's like, look, I'll splurge. Even with the Batman, like my wife didn't go. She ended up staying home looking after Zoe. So I said to my friend, I said, look, we can go to this regular session, or if we go a little bit earlier, we can go to Gold Class like a couple of goddamn kings. And he was like, yes, book it. So I'll do a mandate to a Gold Class cinema. I don't care. I'll go to the movies by myself. I love doing all of that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, actually, I remember like, those movies that you go see because of the hype. So like the 50 Shades movies was definitely part of that. And like me and my best friend were like, and the same like Magic Mike and all those like movies that really have not a lot of substance, but it's all about the hype and the gossip about it. And we went and saw all of them, and like the vibe, I know that's such a dumb word, but like just the atmosphere in the movies was like, I guess, more funny than what was actually going on, because look, those movies, people don't see them for their depth, okay, because there's not much. But like I remember this I think it was the first 50 Shades movie, we heard some woman behind us, and I think I was maybe 18 or 19. I was fresh out of high school. And this woman was like, oh, if you hear some moaning behind you, like, don't mind me, ladies. And it was just like, who let their mum out? Like, get back home. Back you go. Like, I can't believe you. Why would you say that? And then, like, with the even Magic Mike, like all the screaming and stuff in the cinema was just nuts. Although I can sort of like I won't say that I'm not part of that, because like I didn't scream for that movie, but when I was in high school, I was very much a Twilight fan. And when New Moon came out and Jacob took off his shirt, the entire full cinema, because I went to the midnight showing. I can't believe my dad let me do that. Went to the midnight showing, and the entire cinema was just screeching. So, and like, I'm sure some of them were adults. So I was like, oh, I feel like he's not in your age bracket, but still, I cannot understand the hype. But yeah, just the atmosphere in the movies for those kinds of things is just hilarious to me. So some movies I don't see because they're going to change my life, but it's just going to be something fun.
That's the point. Like, and I talk about like not trying not to be a snob anymore. And I'm definitely nowhere near as snobby as I used to be. But like, there's nothing wrong with a perfectly good popcorn movie, Like, and my litmus test last year, I was like, you know what? I'm finally going to watch it after 6 years. I'm going to watch Pixels with Adam Sandler, and we'll see how we go. Because I remember when the trailer came out, I was like, look, I like the idea, but I just don't like the idea of this movie at all. Like, the concept, I just don't think I'm going to like. And I watched it, and I was like, you know what? This was a really fun popcorn movie. Like, what a great family-friendly movie. And then I was like, all right, I guess I'm getting less snobby. And then I started watching some Mark Wahlberg films, and I was like, you know what? I'm getting a little bit less snobby. Like, these are pretty fun. Like, he did that movie, Instant Family, and I swear to God, I was in tears for like 50% of that movie. Like, what a beautiful movie that ended up being. So,
I don't think I've seen that one, but I watched like the other guys. Like, I think that was hilarious. And he did, like, he always plays the same character, like the what's it called, like Daddy's Home. Like, I thought that was really funny, but it's again that, like, with Will Ferrell, like, that their dynamic is just obviously quite good. But yeah, like, some movies are not meant to change your life, they're just meant to give you a laugh.
What I do, like you said before, and I didn't want to go over it without mentioning it. But you said you're now interested in going beyond, the mainstream. You want to try those more unusual films. I remember I made that decision as well, and I've always been into kind of weird stuff. Like, I've always tried things, and working in a video store definitely helped me. But I remember, again, in 2017, when I was talking about how I went to the movies every week. 2016, I did my top 10 list of movies, and they were all like action blockbusters. And I was like really disappointed in myself. I was like, I guess I've got like one taste at the moment. I was like, right, that's it. Next year I'm changing. I said, this is the challenge. 365 movies in 365 days. The rule is simple. I'm not rewatching anything, and I have to go outside my comfort zone. It can't just be, comedies or like superhero films. And I think I ended up watching 370, but 10 of them were rewatches. So I didn't quite hit my target. But look, I really put an emphasis on foreign film. I really put an emphasis on like classic film, and going into, because for me it's like action, horror, and comedy kind of my main one. So I was really trying to go beyond that. I watched way more animation, and it was probably my favorite movie watching year ever. Go on, sorry.
That's a lot. Like, I don't think
9 o'clock.
It's 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
I don't think I could do that. Like a movie every day. I mean, I definitely could physically do it, but I feel like I get I'll start watching a movie, and then I need to do something else in the background. Like, I'm far too fiddly to sit and watch that or do it consistently. Like, there is definitely times where I can sit and veg out and watch 10 movies in a day because I'm in a bad mood or something. But like, I don't think I could do it as consistently and still love it. And like, I never want to lose that love. So I'm scared that if I do something too much, that I'm not going to love it anymore.
I drove my wife nuts. It was the year that we got married. So I proposed to her in April, and we got married in November. And like, there were times we were doing things, and she's like, she would complain about the wedding. I was like, you got it tough. I'm 10 movies behind my goal. I've got to catch up. Like, and I
remember talking to me about patterns.
I remember on New Year's Eve, because my New Year's Eve tradition, I don't go to parties anymore. I haven't done that in probably about 6 or 7 years. My New Year's Eve tradition is now go to the movies, which shouldn't surprise anyone considering the podcast. But it's like my wife and I go out for dinner. It was only like Nando's and Noodle Box, and then we hit a movie, and we're home by 10 o'clock. And I remember on the New Year's Eve 2017, we went to go see, I want to say it was Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle. Great film, by the way. Really great film.
Yep.
And I'm filling out my list on my notes because I keep a list. I've got like pages and pages of notes in my phone of the films that I've watched. And she goes, well, did you do it? I was like, I'm going to save it for the podcast. I'm not going to tell you right now. And she goes, I don't care. I just want it to be over.
Absolutely enough.
But then I beat my record in 2020. Because when Zoe was born, I was up for 7 or 8 hours by myself every night. So I just watched 3 movies a night, and I did 380 films in 2020, and most of them were at the end of the year. So,
Well, I mean, yeah, like 2020 had me watching a lot of movies, but I did watch like a lot of shows too. So like when I was in primary school, I had this like tiny box TV in my bedroom, and like there were so many rules attached to it. Like you could only watch it for this amount of time and then it's straight to bed. And then when my dad would go to sleep, because he snores like a lawnmower, I would like turn it up, like it would be on like volume 3 and my ear would be pressed up against the speaker, and I'd have to use like my peripherals to see what's going on in the TV. So whether it was like, I don't know, whatever was on TV at the time, like Desperate Housewives or like Grey's Anatomy or something, I probably got into it for like the first few seasons. Was that appropriate material for a grade, 5 to be watching? Not really. Did I understand most of it? Probably not, but it was like something to talk about at recess. But I started getting back into it through 2020, and I watched all of Grey's Anatomy. And one thing I have to say to the people who live and die by that show is, are you okay? Do you need counseling? Because I certainly did after watching it. It was heartbreaking. There was so many times, and then I'd come downstairs in my house and I'd be like, were you watching it again? I'm like, yeah, I was. Just give me a minute, please. Like it was so heart-wrenching the whole time. And like I did watch a lot of movies, when that like a lot of shows came out in 2020 as well. Like Netflix just blew up in 2020 because that's all people could do. So watching a lot of like those Netflix movies that came out, and the Netflix shows like Tiger King and all that sort of stuff that came out, like it was a wild time.
No one cares about anymore, by the way.
No one cares about it. Yeah, no one cares about it. But now they're bringing out a movie about it on Stan.
Yeah.
And I don't know the actress's name. She's on SNL. Like
Kate McKinnon.
Kate McKinnon. Yeah. I've seen the ads. She plays a very good Kate. What's her name?
Carol Baskin.
Carol Baskin. Yeah, she plays an excellent Carol Baskin. I will say that from the ads anyway. But yeah, like it was a wild time for movies. I remember I did watch a lot. I turned into a bit of a goo in 2020, but that's fine. So did everyone else.
Pretty much. It's funny you mentioned Grey's Anatomy. I've only seen like maybe 3 episodes. Like my mum and my sister got into it when it first came out. So when I was a teenager, because that's how long that show's been running. Like I think I was 16 when that show started, and now they're in season 420 or something.
They just announced season 19. I'm like, geez, how many more? Like, how much more can this woman suffer? Like, she's been through enough. Let her live.
But that show, even though I'm not a huge fan of it, and like not because it's a bad show or a poorly made show, it's just not my jam. It does have one of my favorite actors in it, and apparently a very emotional story arc. It's Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and he plays like the patient that Izzy falls in love with, I think.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the reaction I was expecting.
My God. That actually tore me up, and I knew it was happening because I actually watched it when it was airing. And even as like a child, because I mean, a 12-year-old is a child, even as a child, that tore me up, and I didn't really even understand the weight of anything. I hadn't experienced love. I was 12. So like, I mean, I'd experienced loss, but not a loss of like a loved one before, like a love, like an intimate love before. So it was just like, how can you, oh my gosh, what's going on? Yeah, horrible.
But he's a great actor. I do like him a lot. So I do, even though I don't care for the show much, I'm like, well, it did expose the world to Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and that's a good thing. So I'll give the show props for that.
He's in Supernatural as well, isn't he?
He's the dad in
He's the dad?
Supernatural.
Yeah.
He's also Negan in Walking Dead. He's done a bunch of stuff. He was the comedian in Watchmen. He's a great actor, really good. He should be working even more than he is. He's definitely one of my favorites. Nice one. We should talk about your list because we've been planning on, which I love because we've gone on a few different tangents, which we don't always do on the show. But you brought a list of your top 5 favorite films. I have no idea what they are. I know you said you had a little bit of trouble narrowing it down. You even told me you're like, I've got honorable mentions, which is funny because
I do.
no one uses that phrase to me until I say you can have honorable mentions because you listen to the show. You're like, I brought honorable mentions as well.
Yeah, well, because I've done my research, But my first one, and they're in no particular order. Like I love them all equally. It's not like one is the one that I love the most. But my first one is Remember the Titans.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I just love it. Like, it's got a great cast. Like, you've got Denzel Washington, Ryan Gosling, Ryan Hurst, even a young Hayden Panettiere. I don't know how to say her last name, but so like good cast. There's a lot of like lines in it that like just make me laugh. So like when Coach Boone is like talking to the team just before they've gone on the camp, he's like, this is not a democracy, this is a dictatorship, I am the law. It just reminded me of growing up with my dad because he was very the same. Like he always used to say, this is not a democracy in this house, like, and like it was always half a joke, but like that always makes me laugh. When they're at the camp and the coach has said, like, you got to get to know all your team members, and you see like Ryan Gosling showing one of his African-American team members like country music, and he's like dancing and he's loving it. He's like, I don't even have to ask, like, what do you think of this one? And he's like, oh, like he's hating it. It's so funny. Another thing when they have like the 2 younger daughters, so Coach Boone's daughter and the other coach's daughter, they like one is like super into football and the other one is like she's very girly, like loves playing with dolls and stuff. And the daughter who's really into football, she comes over and she's watching like replays with Coach Boone, and she's giving him all her opinions, and he's like, why don't you go and play over there with the dolls with like his daughter? And she's like, I'm not, she's like, I'm not playing, I'm accessorizing. And I'm like, relatable, queen, relatable. But also I can very much relate to like the daughter who loves football, because growing up with my dad, like football was the religion in my house. So, we never went to church, but we went to every home game growing up. I've had a membership since I was 5. I'm now 26, so quite a long time. Went through all the heartbreaks and recently some successes, which is nice, but definitely growing up a lot of, crying at the football. My dad would always be like, if you're going to cry, you're not allowed to come. So, and, because I've grown up with that, yeah, well, because who wants to drag a screaming or crying kid around the footy? Like, that's embarrassing. So I think like just growing up and having that experience, it was like a bit relatable, because like I thought I had all my opinions were obviously correct because I watched things with my dad, and what my dad said was obviously correct because he's my dad. So, and just having that like huge, like idolizing these players, but also like the coaches and everything, just wanting to be part of it, I think is quite relatable. Going into like the movies when they start, so in the movie where they start winning a lot of games and like the town's actually getting behind them, because at the start of the movie they're talking about like when they're integrating the schools and the town was in uproar about having the African-American students mixed with the white kids, and the kids obviously being a product of their environment. There was a lot of hostility between them. And then, later on in the movie when they all start winning, they're doing a bit of a video montage, and in one of the diners, someone's written like Titans eat free. And then like, as they've won more games, they like rubbed it out because obviously they go in there and they're eating far too much food. So yeah, that always makes me laugh. But I really do like the story of, you know, how they're coming together, and you know, it shows like it's based on a true story. So like there is like a bit of heartbreak in there as well with one of the main characters. Like he's in a pretty serious accident. He can't play football anymore, and he's meant to be the captain, and like he's formed quite a very strong relationship with one of his African American teammates who he like at the start they really really didn't like each other, and then they started bonding and they become so close. And like when he's in hospital, you know, he goes to visit him in the room, and the nurse is like, oh sorry, like only kin allowed, and he's like, oh, can't you see, like, can you see the family resemblance, he's my brother. And like it's just like, oh bless. And then they win at the end, and it's just so lovely. Yeah, I love that movie.
You spoke so lovely about this movie, and I could tell like the passion. You were so heartbroken. I've never seen Remember the Titans.
Have you never seen it?
Never seen it.
I'm sorry, I've ruined it for you.
No, not at all. I think it's on Disney Plus. It's a Disney film, so look, it is on my list of things to watch. But you've definitely sold it to me in a way that, like, you've spoken more passion about Remember the Titans to me than I've ever heard anyone talk about it before. So it'll shoot to the top of my watch list now. I'll give it a go.
Yeah, I love it. I think also like just watching the two different coaches and their leadership styles are very different. So like just watching that play out, because, you know, obviously you can apply that to like, you know, being a leader in any aspect of your life, whether it's, you know, in your job or in a team or whatever. Like, you know, what's going to work for you, what work for one group of people isn't going to work for another group of people. So like just seeing that is like quite interesting. And I guess, I mean, you don't have to adapt everything you learn from a movie, but like just seeing things like, okay, maybe if I yell at people, maybe they're not going to like me as much. Maybe some people don't like that, so maybe I shouldn't do it, you know.
I think I learned all the best lessons in life from movies. Like, here we go. Nice one. Yeah, no, I haven't seen it, but like, that's what I like about this show is like, I'm learning more and more that there's so much I haven't seen, which is, I mean, you'll never see everything, but I just like hearing what other people talk about. And then like, it does make me excited. Like, like as I said, never watched Remember the Titans, never really had much interest in it. Not because like, I think it's a bad film, but I'm just not a sport movie guy really. Like after that, I'm like, yeah, well now I want to watch it. Like you really sold me on it. And like Denzel's always good. I'm very excited to see a young Ryan Gosling, you know, pitching country music to African American kids. So you've definitely sold a ticket to it. Yeah, nice one.
Yeah. My next one is Gladiator.
Oh, I can get behind this one.
I cannot tell you how many times I've seen it. I love it so much. Probably like, you know, obviously the actors in it are great. Everything about it is so great to me, like the flashback scenes and like where he's like unconscious, so he's sort of like in a dream scene. That's very cool to me. But the thing that pushed it over the line for me was 100% the music.
Yeah,
I think I have a close friend, and they are like obsessed with movie music, so I really bonded with them over that. And we actually went and saw Hans Zimmer live in concert for my birthday, like I think in 2019 he came.
Yeah.
And I've been to plenty of concerts, but that was probably my favorite one ever. I cried. Like it was just amazing. And hearing like he performed the score from Gladiator, I think very early on, like in the concert, and everyone was just in utter awe. Like they had the woman who actually sung like the music in Gladiator, like she was actually there. Everything was just so surreal. So yeah, I love that movie. Like having Richard Harris, who like my first interaction with him was like Dumbledore in Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Like seeing him as Marcus Aurelius was like, I'm like, the way he was talking, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so Dumbledore. That's something Dumbledore would say. But obviously taking it back to like, you know, at that time, obviously they're speaking very like fancy and all that sort of stuff, and it not in riddles, but kind of like that
very
that sort
Roman,
of tone.
very like
yes.
I always forget that Hans Zimmer scored that movie because I always think of him as the Batman guy. Like, he does that very like heavy, like orchestral, like. There's a real sense of urgency to his music. Like I always think about like in Batman Begins when he goes down the elevator towards the end, it's like dun dun, and I forget that he can do really beautiful, like lovely music, like Gladiator as well. And Richard Harris, like absolutely, I think like. That would have been one of his last films. He did the first 2 Harry Potter films, and then he also did Count of Monte Cristo, and that was about it. But he's great in it as well. I always think of with Gladiator, obviously, Russell Crowe, like, is fantastic. You know? And he's an actor who gets a lot of criticism. I think people like to make fun of Russell Crowe, but he's really solid in that film. But this was it wasn't the introduction to Joaquin Phoenix, but definitely the one that really put him on the map where people were like, oh,
for sure, yeah.
Look what he can do. Like, look at this. Like, he's a kid in that film, and he's so cruel and, like, calculated and menacing.
He makes me so uncomfortable in that film, and, like, as he's supposed to, but, like, you know, the slight attempt at incest and, like, just the pure, like, it's just ambition just driving him absolutely to his end, really. But, like, okay, I could completely appreciate, like, okay, you're not even related to me and you're gonna make him like the emperor. Okay, wow, like, why do you hate me? But like, you are the way that you are. Like, why don't you change? Why don't you be a nice guy? How about that? And you know, you catch more bees with honey, don't they say that? Like, and he's
more
just
flies
like,
with honey than vinegar. Yeah, that's right.
yeah, and he's just like, actually, no, let's just kill everyone that doesn't like me. Which, I mean, doesn't really work out, does it? But one of my favorite lines is like when they say like, but not yet. So like, you know, when they're in the middle and I can't remember his name. The 2 slaves are talking to Russell Crowe, and they're like, you know, I'll have your like family there, like they're in the next life, and he's like, yeah. It's like, are you going to join them? He's like, yes, but not yet. And then at the end, when, you know, everything's all finished, and then he's his friends burying the little figures of his wife and his son in the Colosseum, he's like, you know, I'm going to see you again, but not yet. And I'm like, that's so nice. Obviously, I always just say to people, like, are you not entertained?
Yeah.
Some people get it. Some people don't. But like,
I'd be shocked by the people who can't. Like, that is a classic line. Like that's a trailer moment. That was in all the trailers. And like, this was before trailers were really popular. Like, it wasn't like now where they're loaded on the internet and you get a 5-second trailer for the trailer and stuff like that. It's but that was such a big moment. It's it also has one of my favorite, I think, like battle scenes ever, like that chariot race where the guy's got like the spike on the wheels and he cuts the guy in half. Yep. Like, it's brutal.
Oh, it is insane. And like, just like that music, like the battle music, I've played it for like, I play it sometimes in the car when I'm like, look, I'm feeling a bit light. I need to G myself up, and like I'll play it, and I'm like in the car, and I feel like I'm in the chariot. I'm like, let's go, and I'm in, you know, bumper to bumper traffic. It's everyone outside of me is like, okay, freak, but I'm just like, yes, I'm in it. I think also just like it does go for a long time, but like, and you said like you think everyone knows that. I introduced someone to this movie only 2 weeks ago. They hadn't seen it, and I could not believe it.
Well, I guess
but they loved it. So
it's like an old movie now. Like what? Like is it 2000, 2001? I'm trying to think. It's
2001, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, they hadn't seen it. But obviously, I mean, they saw it a couple of weeks ago and they loved it. So it's obviously has stood the test of time. You know, I don't think people should be watching it if they're looking for historical accuracy, but like, it's not about that. So
no, and Ridley Scott is a master storyteller. Like, I don't know how much of his work you've seen, but I mean, he could have stopped with Alien, but he just kept going. Like, he just makes so many wonderful films, and Gladiator is definitely one of them. I've got nothing but props for that film. It's not one that I watch regularly. It's one that I've seen probably like half a dozen times. Like, it's not, and not for any reason. It's just like it's not the most fun movie. Like, there's some very cool moments in it, but like, it's definitely a sad one. But whenever I pop it on, it's one where I'm like, all right, I am glued to the screen till the movie's over. Like, I'm going to sit here for the full 2.5, 3 hours, whatever it is. And it's such a great watch, such a satisfying watch. And as I said, like, my favorite part of that's got to be Joaquin Phoenix. Like, I love everyone in it, but just seeing how bitter and cruel he is. I don't know, like you can see why 20 years later they're like, hey, Joker? Like,
Joker, yeah,
like,
exactly.
he plays such a good villain.
And it's funny because, like, I've seen like a bunch of memes and stuff being like, you know, when you were young growing up, the villain always seemed so like crazy and out there, and like his ideas were so like, I can't believe you would think that. And now as an adult, you're like, well, it kind of makes sense why you would think that.
Yeah.
So and like, because he, especially in the Joker, he made quite a few like clear points, and that there was such a strong focus on like mental health and how, like, you know, the regular guy just doesn't care. And, you know, how he says, like, you know, if I was dead on the street, you just walk over me. And it's like, well, the reason why so many people were put off by that is because they felt like, oh, you're talking about me.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't like that you're calling me out, so I'm going to say that this is offensive. But really, like, is he wrong? Do you stop and help all the homeless on the street? Like, do you do any of that? No, you don't.
I love that idea of one bad day. Like, that's kind of what the Joker movie is like, if you just have one too many bad days, you just have one really bad day, like, what can happen? Like, and that's exactly what that movie is like. It kind of Taxi Driver a little bit as well. We went on a tangent to talk about Gladiator, but yeah, I love that. I love that darkness. That's great. Yeah, Gladiator, what a pick. I'm glad I could talk about that one. What have you what do you got next?
Silence of the Lambs.
Wow, I did not expect that to come out tonight. I love Silence of the Lambs.
I love like all of those movies, but Silence of the Lambs definitely my favorite one. I think Jodie Foster as Clarice is the best Clarice. That's my personal opinion.
I would agree. Yeah.
Anthony Hopkins is so bone chilling. Like, I when I first saw that movie, because there's obviously been other adaptations of Hannibal Lecter, like, I'm like, nah, that's him. Like, you know, or just like even like stupid things like just the like, it's shocks me to my core. But like, I've just so many like iconic moments from the whole movie. Chris Isaac's in that movie.
Yeah.
Like, just like, and things that you notice about like the movie, the more times you watch it, like, oh, why is he in the credits? Oh, he's actually in the movie. You know, Ram's solution and Skinner as it gets the hose again, like that always makes me like, oh my gosh, like, oh, that's so creepy. And I don't know if it's a Levine or Levine, but Ted Levine,
he's so good. Yeah,
he plays such a good bad guy. Like, I watched he's in another one of the movies in my list, and he plays like a very good creepy bad guy sort of thing. So like, yeah, he really knocked it out of the park. I think obviously the quote that everyone remembers is like, a census taker once tried to test me. I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti. Like,
yeah.
Everyone knows that, but it's just like, oh, like, what do you mean? Because he's so refined, but then he's such a psychopath. Like,
absolutely, it's funny. Like, that's the line that everyone remembers, but the line in that movie that chills me the most, I think it's Clarice who says it. It's been a little while. It's probably been about 6 or 7 years since I've seen Silence of the Lambs. I'm pretty sure Clarice says at one point, she goes, "He's making a suit. He's making a suit out of the skins." And I remember hearing that, like, when I was like 15. I was like, "What? People do this?" Like, and I probably got the quote wrong, so like, it's been a little while, but it's something along the lines of like, when she just like it clicks and like he's making a suit out of them, and I was like, oh my, like, that to me is such a great line. There's such simplicity to it, but it's so creepy. I always think of that one. But yeah, like Ted Levine you mentioned, I haven't seen him in a lot of things, but the other thing I think of him in, he's in the remake of The Hills Have Eyes, and he just plays like a nice dad. Like, it's so weird seeing, and he gets like burnt alive at a stake. But he's so good. Like,
I think one thing like in that movie is also like the music in that movie. Every time I hear American Girl by Tom Petty, I'm like, oh no, don't stop the car, don't go into his car. And then also It's Goodbye Horses?
Goodbye Horses. I was waiting for it. Goodbye.
And I heard it in another movie, or I think maybe I heard it in the shop or something, and I'm just like I did the pose, and I was like, oh, people are gonna think I'm an absolute freak. But I always I always just think about it, I'm like, imagine like being an actor and be like, hey, can you just, tuck it back and spread like an eagle?
It's a bold choice. They do it. They make fun of it in a movie called Clerks 2. It's one of my favorite movies, and like the introduction of one of the characters, like they just come out of a van and that music starts playing, and it just cuts.
Oh, I've seen that.
Yeah. It's so good. It's a solid flick. Like it's really dark. Like it's real. I love all the prison stuff. Like even the guy who looks over, I can't remember the guy's name, like the warden who looks over the prisons, even he's a creep. Like you talk about Anthony Hopkins, he's in the flick for like less than 15 minutes, and like he won an Academy Award. Like
I think that was one of those movies that won like a bunch of awards, like it cleaned up at the Oscars.
It's one of the few horror films to get a nod. Like horror, that isn't normally respected by the award like the Academy Awards and some of that for some reason. I'm not sure why. I think people think of it as a lesser genre. And I guess it's because it's such a cheap genre to replicate and you get a lot of bad horror. But like The Exorcist, that, and now Get Out, I think they're three of the few horror films to win. But there's so many good horror movies out there, and that's definitely one of them. How do you feel about the other movies? So you talked about Silence of the Lambs. So Red Dragon and Hannibal, where do they sit on your list of Hannibal movies?
It would definitely go Silence of the Lambs, Red Dragon, and then Hannibal for me.
I think I'd agree with that, yeah.
Yeah, I like to watch things in chronological order. So like I was talking to someone about, like they were talking to me about Marvel movies, and I was like, look, I've seen some of them, I haven't seen all of them, but I like to watch things in order. And they looked at me like, oh, like it's gonna be wrong if you watch it that way. So like, because I like to watch things in order that they happen, but I just prefer this. Like I just find it like the way that I've listened, I think it's like that one's just the best one for me. And I really like Red Dragon as well, with Ralph Fiennes as the
the Tooth Fairy.
Yes.
So creepy. Like it's no wonder he was cast as Voldemort, like, because he's so good in that film. And like obviously he was in Schindler's List as the villain as well. Like he plays terrifying well, but he's great as the Tooth Fairy. In Red Dragon, I also love Philip Seymour Hoffman as the journalist who gets like super glued to the chair going down the hill.
And it's like on fire.
Yeah. You have like he puts the mirrors in their eyes and stuff. Like, it's such a creepy movie. I love Red Dragon, and I don't hear enough people talk about it. Emily Watson as the blind woman. Like, it's now I want to watch all of these movies again.
It's definitely something that like with my friend that really like loves movies, a lot of these movies like I've watched with them, and like I like watching movies and seeing other people's reactions to them, because it's like, okay, you're feeling what I'm feeling. Oh my gosh, like I love like the shared experience. So I definitely like I watched that with I'd watch it with, I actually think the first time I watched it with my grandparents.
Okay.
Because my pop was really, really into like those movies. And then I watched it like much later, sort of as a teenager and sort of adult, and had a different appreciation for it, because as a kid I was just scared out of my wits. But then
Red Dragon's a tough one for kids. So Silence of the Lambs, like with that tuck and everything, like don't show kids that movie.
I think there were definitely some times where my nan sort of shielded my vision, because there was things that maybe a 12-year-old can sort of cope with, and watching the tug scene with your grandparents is probably not one of them. So she's like, oh, all right, hide your eyes.
But even like, and I won't say what happens because it's pretty gross, but even Migs, like when Clarice goes and like that's all I need to say. If I say Migs, if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. Like,
I mean, like the listeners can't see my face, but disgust. But he, karma came, got him, didn't it?
Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad. Every movie you've listed today, no one said on their list before.
Well, I tried very hard to avoid what other people had said.
Well, that's okay. Like we repeat. But I like every one of those films. I'm like, yeah, like now, as I said, I really want to watch Silence of the Lambs and Red Dragon again. Even Hannibal and Hannibal Rising cop a bit of a criticism, but they're both good films as well.
Yeah. My next one is 7.
Oh my god! Like this is what a great list.
Well, I do what I can, but yeah, I just really love that like detective like work and like the two working together because they were obviously quite different, and then like just the twists. Oh my gosh! And like, look, it's quite graphic in terms of the crime scenes. They were just very confronting, but the idea of going like using the 7 sins as like as a motif, I think I was just like, wow, like I would never think about that because I'm what they call not a psycho. But like the way that like, the bad guys like framed to do that. I mean, like Morgan Freeman was great in it, Brad Pitt's in it, Gwyneth Paltrow was in it. As much as it pains me to say, because obviously Kevin Spacey is now like cancelled or whatever, he plays an excellent bad guy.
I think sometimes you have to set like with these situations, like it's hard. Like I think sometimes you have to separate art from artists. Like obviously,
Correct. Yeah.
And we don't get too political on this show. Like another name came up recently. Actually, I think it was Kevin Spacey again. Previously, I was like, let's not talk about him. Let's just. I think but it is like as a 17-year-old boy who loved like heavy metal and emo music. Like this was my favorite movie. Like I love 7. I heard someone describe it recently as they're like, this is a Batman movie without Batman. They're like Morgan Freeman's Batman, Brad Pitt's Robin because he's new and upcoming, he's really cocky and stuff. I was like, oh, that's really and John Doe is the Riddler, and I was like,
it's very that. It's very that.
I remember being the flick is so good because you're right. The crime scenes are gruesome. Like gluttony is really tough. Like sloth is really gross. But I remember a really good option, like a really good way of showing without showing anything was the lust kill. I remember when they revealed it, I was like I did like a whole full body twitch. I was like, like even thinking about it now, like who thinks of that?
That's it, because they don't show it, but like you enough about what's happening
exactly straight away,
and like my entire body just did like a cringe. And I just felt pain throughout my entire body. I'm like, wow. Like, okay, like you want to kill someone, just kill them. Like you don't have to do that. But yeah, I think just, and yeah, the twist at the end, you can sort of like, as it's coming, you're like, oh no, like don't. And then obviously you sympathize with Brad Pitt's character being like, he's trying so hard to like prove himself and get to the bottom of this, and he comes from like a very black and white like you're the bad guy, like we're going to put you away type thing. You're just crazy, you're crazy, like let's get this over and done with. And then like I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it, but
what's in the box?
What's in the box? That always gets me.
It's such a strong film, like. And it's not entirely dark. Like, it's very dark and chilling, and there's a lot of, horrible things in that movie. But, like, there is some levity. Like, I always think of – one of the things I always think of, and I don't know why, it's such a dumb joke, but when Morgan Freeman's like, it's like your own moving apartment, like, because it's, like, right next to the train line. And, like, it's such a dumb joke, but it's at the exact moment you need that joke because it is a dark flick.
That's it. You sort of, it's just a bit of a lift because it's very dark. I mean, even you say it's very dark with the themes and stuff, but the movie itself is quite dark. Like it's poorly lit the entire time, and until like sort of the end when they're in the daytime, because the whole time, like in the Batman, it's raining like the whole time. And it's got that like dark like city sort of aspect. So the parallels between the two are very similar, and I did really enjoy that about the Batman, because it's like, this is one of my favorite films. I'm like, I like where this is going. It's very interesting.
Yeah, the Batman really pulls from two of Fincher's films, Seven and Zodiac, which
Yeah.
which I really liked. Like I was telling a friend of ours from work that he was like, "Oh, is it good?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Oh, I really want to see it. I was thinking about taking the kids." I'm like, "Don't take the kids. Like, it's not a kids will hate it." And he's like, "Oh,
Nope.
even better." Like, uh, so where do you stand then on other Fincher films? Like, do you follow him to his other work, or is it like I like Seven? I haven't really looked at his other movies, or
I mean, I would like this is the thing. I'm very much about like names. I'm so terrible. I mean, if I look them up, I'll be like, oh yeah, I love that movie.
so. Oh, it's okay.
Um,
Like, I don't again. Like, not a it's not a criticism to not know the films he's done. So David Fincher did Seven. He did Fight Club. He
oh, I
did
like that movie.
Panic Room, which I think is underrated. Panic Room's a really good movie. He did Gone Girl. He did
Oh, I like that movie.
Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Zodiac. I'm
Oh,
probably
I've seen a lot of his movies actually.
yeah. He's got a very distinct style. He's probably done a couple others that I've missed, but those are kind of his big ones. Yeah, he's a great filmmaker.
Yeah, I think like Gone Girl was really, really good. I'd seen a lot of people who had seen it and I was like, it doesn't look that interesting. And then like I watched it and I was like, oh wow, okay. And then there was another twist and it's like, I don't know who I'm rooting for here. Like who do I hate most? Like who's the worst?
It holds up. I watched it. I think in 2020, like when I was doing like when I watched 380 films, like it was one of the movies I rewatched, and it holds up so well. Like, and you can tell like the Gone Girl was filmed right before Ben Affleck started shooting Batman vs Superman, so you can see him progressively get bigger throughout the movie. And there's a
Yeah.
scene towards the end where he throws Rosamund Pike against the wall, like because she's come back into his life and he's got to live with her. And you can see like Jesus Christ, like this dude's a monster.
She flew.
Because he's so like beefy and muscly. But yeah, Gone Girl's a great flick. I remember like when it came out, it was like, don't see it if you're in a relationship because it'll ruin your relationship. And I remember my wife and I went and saw it, and afterwards, and I was like, well, did it ruin our relationship, or are we just mature enough to like accept that it's a movie? And she was like, yeah, I think we're okay.
Yeah, I don't understand any of that when people say stuff like that, but also like I'm also like, I feel like I'm mature enough to just accept defeat if I can see it. I'm like, all right, cool. Well, that sucks. And I'm going to be sad about it for a while, but like, I don't need to do someone in like that. That's a bit excessive.
Oh man, and I know we weren't talking about Gone Girl. I know we were talking about Seven, but now that it's just it's such it's an oddly romantic film as well. Like their love story is so exciting, I find, and like you're like, oh, what a like you know, you see like they're so into each other, like they're hooking up in the library and stuff or the bookstore, and I was like, wow, like this is like I had no idea where the film was. I hadn't read the book, and then like when it becomes what it is, um, it's terrifying. It also has one of my favorite jokes in it, which I'm pretty sure is an ad lib by Ben Affleck when he gets arrested and he just starts humming the Law and Order theme. Like you know that wasn't in the script. You know Ben Affleck was like, I'm going to throw this in.
Yeah, let's see if it makes the cut for sure.
Nice. Well, if I've got my maths correct, we've got one left. Is that right?
Yes.
And then, of course, all the honorable mentions.
That's right. So my last one is Memoirs of a Geisha.
Wow. Okay. Now, okay, I'll just let you know I've not seen Memoirs of a Geisha either.
Okay. So I won't like tell you the full thing then, but I just like how it's shot. Like the costuming is obviously beautiful. The story is like it's pretty sad. Like it starts off very sad. Because like I can tell you this bit because it's not like wow to the story, but like there's these two sisters and their family sells them to like a geisha house, and the person who runs it only picks one of them, and the other one they sell off to the red light district, and they're like quite young, like under I would say maybe between 10 and 12. So it's obviously like heartbreaking enough that they've been like their parents are doing so poorly that they've sold them, and then they get split apart. So it starts off really sad, and then you sort of follow the one that's in the geisha's house, her journey. So like there's like one geisha that's working in the house, and she's really, really popular, and she's very well known in the area. And she immediately hates this new little girl for like really no reason. And you just sort of follow her journey, and then it's just like, so she goes through so many like hardships, and then just when she seems to be sort of like doing really well, the war happens. So it's like World War II. So like you see how that's affected Japan, and like as a white person, you don't really hear too much about that, because they're always said to us like they're the bad guys. So like to see how it affected like the work, the working class people, and then obviously geishas, who is not something that we have in Western culture at all. How it was affected by the war was really interesting. Now, how accurate that was, I can't tell you, but seeing how it was culturally at that time, and then because they go into, when the Japanese were trying to get American investors to invest in their business because they'd lost everything. And it basically paints the Americans as these like big dumb idiots, and that like just like bastardize everything really, because like after the war, the geishas are not so graceful and beautiful and like trained really hard. Like they say, like any streetwalker could just paint their face white and put a red lip on and put on a kimono, and now they're a geisha too. And like you just see how the war and the Americans themselves had cheapened the art form. And so like it's really interesting to see, because like when you talk about people who want to travel and they want to go to Japan, like they think about things like samurais and geishas and things like that don't, samurais obviously not really a thing anymore. Maybe for like a performance art type thing, sure, but like geishas, again, it's more of like for a Western person looking from the outside in, it's like almost like a novelty. And I feel like it's like what a lost art, like, because the things that they do, like in the movie, there's like dance and they play music, and they do like theater as well. Like it's all very, very beautiful stuff, and I feel like we don't have any of that. So yeah, the music in it is really nice as well. Just like the scenery and stuff like that, it's just really different, obviously, to your normal like popcorn type movies. There's like some like names in it that like have been in other like big films. So Ken Watanabe, I think his name is.
I was going to say the cast is great. Like Ken Watanabe, Michelle Yeoh, who's having a real great renaissance right now. I've used that word a couple of times, so what a faux pas. But she was just in Shang-Chi last year. She's got this movie that came out called Everything Everywhere All the Time, which looks amazing. It's got Ziyi Zhang, who was in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon and House of Flying Daggers, which, if no one's seen House of Flying Daggers, what an incredible movie that is. I haven't seen Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. It's on my list of things to watch, but she's great. It's a really good cast. And like, what's really nice to see is it is pretty much an entirely Asian cast, which you would hope for a movie like this, but 2005 doesn't seem that long ago, but they were making some weird choices in 2005. Carrie Hiroyuki as well. And it was directed by the guy who did Chicago, of all things.
So like, I mean, like one thing about the movies that I've picked, I feel like all of them do go for like, I think Remember the Titans goes for like a normal amount of time, I guess, but all the others do go for they do have like quite a long run time. And I have previously said that I get like easily distracted and I need like fiddle and stuff like that, but with these movies, like they have been able to get me to sit down and really just absorb myself into it. Like I just feel completely taken by all of them. I think they're all quite different, even though like Silence of the Lambs and Seven are both like horror thriller type movies. They're so different. And yeah, Memoirs of a Geisha, I just thought like when I first saw it, and I didn't see it like when it came out. I think I saw it only maybe a few years ago, but every time I watch it, it's like the first time I'm watching it. And yeah, it's like there's obviously really sad parts, but also really nice parts. And like, it's not a traditional like romance involved in it. It's very much like, will they, won't they? I don't know if they can. Oh, it's almost impossible. Oh, like this, the odds are stacked up way too high, like that it's never going to happen. And then, you know, like you're honest as sort of a suspense. You're really wanting it to happen for her because like she's been through so much that you're like, geez, let her get a win.
Yeah. What's interesting in all your picks is there's a couple of things I noticed that continues. Is they're all epic. Like there's a real like kind of epicness to them, like a really grand scope to all these films. And there's such a like definitive line between good and, I don't want to say evil all the time, but good and tyranny and oppression. Like Remember the Titans is all about, fighting segregation and oppression. And Memoirs of a Geisha, which by the way you've sold me on. Like I never had any interest in Memoirs of a Geisha, and not in a way where I was like, it just never appealed to me, and I'm like, I am in. Like you've just sold me on that one so hard, more so than Remember the Titans. Even you spoke so passionately about it. But that again, like dealing with the war and what Japan looks like post World War II, that sort of thing. Seven and Silence of the Lambs, obviously very much detective stories and like the quest to find the good and stop evil. And Gladiator, of course, again, like fighting oppression and tyranny. Like those are the common themes, and I'm here for all of them. Like it's a really good list, and I'm glad there are a couple I haven't seen. I like that when I like it when there's films I haven't seen, even though it's hard for me to talk about them, and I have to kind of let the guests carry the conversation a bit. I like hearing about movies because I'm like, oh, good. Like if I was on the fence about that, or even if I was on the other side of the fence about it, now I'm back in. Like no one's told me a movie where I'm like, I don't know, that's not for me, except for in my friend Josh's episode where he talked about artificial intelligence. I'm sorry, I'm never going back to that movie, but that's fine.
I'll be on the fence because I haven't seen it. Sci-fi movies aren't really my jam, although a few that were mentioned in that episode I had seen. So, yeah.
Nice one. Well, you said you had a couple of honourable mentions as well. That's a great list. Like, really impressed with that list. I'm so glad there are a couple on there that I haven't seen. I'm looking forward to watching those now.
Special mention, Green Street Hooligans.
Okay.
Again, like, I grew up in, like, my dad was, like, one of those, like, guys that didn't sit down at the footy. He stood up at the back with all the, no offense, they're yobbos, like just big burly guys that just like get drunk and start yelling stuff at people occasionally, not while I was there because God forbid, but they get into little like yelling matches with like other teams, and just like when men get drunk sometimes things get said and maybe other things happen. So, but like he was around that, and like, he'd bring me around those guys, and they were always very sweet to me, and nothing would ever happen while I was around. I never felt unsafe or anything like that, but I grew up in that very like masculine culture, and like going to a sport, and I'm extremely passionate about the footy, more like almost embarrassingly so. I get far more upset about things than I need to be. I know it's just a game at the end of the day, but like I fully get into it, and like when I watch this movie, I see like, this clean-cut kid coming from like a world that he's not even sure if he's comfortable in. He gets like this really poor hand dealt to him because of some rich kid, and it's like, eat the rich. And then like, yeah, then he goes, and then he's like on the opposite end of the scale, where like a lot of these football fans, like they are the working class, they're the middle class of England, and it's such an atmosphere that, like, while I can somewhat relate to a similar environment at the footy in England, the soccer is like a completely different, like on a different planet entirely. So, yeah, like people avoid going into the area of where the game is because like who knows what's going to happen. So, yeah, I really enjoyed that movie. What's his name? Charlie Hunnam's in it, like a young Charlie Hunnam's in it.
Yeah, Pre-Sons of Anarchy, I think.
Yes, yeah. Elijah Wood's in it, and he's very good in it. And like, because my first experience with Elijah Wood was in Lord of the Rings.
I think most people's was. That's a pretty safe bet, yeah.
Yeah, so like
Unless you saw Flipper. If you saw Flipper, that might have been your first one.
oh yeah, no, I haven't, but I do know of it. But yeah, like it's like seeing him in something which is starkly different was great. And then, you know, he gets his own at the end, which is great. But even the like close to the end, it's so heartbreaking. It's like, oh no, like why? Um Another one is Jurassic Park. Like I know you've spoken about this in another episode. So for those listening, you're hearing about it again.
Yeah, but it's hard to get past Jurassic Park. Like it's one of those films that David talked about how it kind of changed everything, and it really did. So, like, I've got a couple more people lined up, and I know that film's going to come up again because it should. Like, it's a great movie.
Yeah,
I know you had some beef though. You were like, you guys forgot to mention a couple of great things.
you forgot to mention a lot of things. Like you're talking about the scene with like the water, like when the T-Rex is like you know the T-Rex is coming because the water's like trembling, but also there's like the chaos theory where like the water like runs down her hand and like Dr. Malcolm's all like suave and sexy, like, oh yes, chaos theory. My favorite line, and I use it every time my birthday is near, is spare no expense, because people shouldn't. And like, yeah, like there's a few things that happen that are like just hilarious to me. So, because I've seen the movie so many times, like you always notice something different the more times you watch it. But like the scene where the T-Rex is like getting the guy off the, like biting onto the toilet cubicle and getting him, in the same movement, like for whatever reason, I think Dr. Malcolm must have been like in the vicinity, and he absolutely gets launched and his legs are completely split. So like me and my friend, we like paused with it, freeze framed it, and he's just like flying off into a tree. His legs completely like splayed out. It's so funny. And in the second movie, I can't remember what it's called, but when the InGen like choppers and stuff are flying, he's got some binoculars, and he'd be like looking obviously with the small end to his eyes and the big end facing the choppers. But when he goes to do it, it's the opposite way around, and he's like, he goes like this, and then like with the binoculars, and the vision that you see is like obviously the choppers being far away, but if you did that, they'd be tiny. So I'm just like, there you go.
That's one.
But yeah, like everything about that movie is just so funny. And then when when they're going through the like the tour before obviously everything happens, and he's like knocks on like the camera, and he's like, knock, like, will there be any actual dinosaurs on the dinosaur tour? And then like no one says anything, so he's like and then like rubs the screen, and then Hammond's like, oh, I really do hate that man. It's just so funny.
I mean, you've definitely watched it more than me. Like, I remember a couple of those things, but like clearly I'm going to go back to it again. But gee, that's funny.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's iconic. Obviously, like the music is like everybody knows that music. Even if you haven't seen it, I think everybody knows the music.
Absolutely,
it's so beautiful. What else did I have? Oh, American History X was my other one.
What a film! That's a film I think my wife still hasn't seen because she wants to watch. She's like, I know I've got to see. I know it's amazing, but I just feel like it's going to be a sad watch, and it is a sad watch. Like from moment one, from bite the curb all the way to like.
I can't watch. I still cover my eyes. Like I cannot watch it.
All the black and white footage is so upsetting. Like, and obviously the end is very sad as well. And there's that beautiful moment where they fold up the flag. But
yeah,
the scene that always stuck out to me the most, and it's such a weird scene because even though it's gross and it's obviously horrible, it's probably one of the least gross and horrible moments in the film. But it's when they did the raid on the grocery store.
Oh, that's all with that woman.
Food, and they pour like the
yeah.
applesauce or whatever in her face. Oh my god, that like makes me feel so gross. Like, and like this is a film, and spoilers and trigger warning, guys. I'm going to get a little bit graphic here. There's a man-on-man rape scene in this film, which is horrible. Like, as all rape scenes in film are, like, but like that's not even the worst part of this movie. It's not even the nastiest thing in that film. It's such a hate-filled movie, and that's not me saying like don't watch this film. It's all about hate. Like they don't cut corners. They're like, this is a film about Nazis. This is a film about white supremacists and racists, and this is what they're like. So we're going to show you an unabridged version, a true reflection of what hate looks like, and it's very unsettling to watch.
It does make you really uncomfortable, and the worst part about it is like there are people like that all over, but especially in the US, like they still have white supremacist groups. They still have like these communities of neo-Nazis. There's a scene where Seth, who's like the big dumb stupid friend, is like in his car and he's singing some like white supremacist music. I watched
The White Man Marches On, I think it is.
Yeah. I watched one of the Louis Theroux like documentaries, and like where he goes and visits like the Nazi community, and they teach this stuff to their children.
Yeah.
And like, hate is not, you're not born with hate, you learn it. And it just makes me so fearful that like people like this still exist. You'd think like you just by going to school that you'd learn in history that like you need to, like, you may not like somebody, but you at least need to respect their right to live. And like the fact that they're going out, and because I'm a teacher, like I've seen what, like, even just parents who have come from war-torn countries, and there's kids at school from that other country, and they're told like, don't be friends with them, don't hang out with them, be nasty to them. You see a lot of bullying that goes on, and it's just like, how can you be like this? And the fact that they teach it to young children, like they'll have young kids and in the movie anyway, that the ringleader of everything, he preys on like kids in high school where they're at their most like formative and like in that sort of following type behavior and really picking their identity. And it's just like, God, like, I hate you.
It makes me, I really like movies about Nazis. And when I say that, I mean, I'm very interested in how hate is portrayed, and I guess ultimately the punishing of hate. Like it's a weird thing to say out of context. I love Nazi films. People are like, "What are you talking about?" But like, I think they make such a good villain. Like it's such, because I mean, even though you just said all that about the States and how it still exists, for general audiences, no one's ever rooting for the Nazis. So you can do whatever you want to them in a movie, and like no one's going to care. And I think about obviously Inglourious Bastards is a really fun one, but still like kind of paints that picture of hate. I just feel like when they make a movie about Nazis, they're generally pretty good. Like it's hard to make a bad film portraying, like Imperium. I don't know if you ever saw that with Daniel Radcliffe, where he plays an undercover cop infiltrating like a Nazi group. That one's really good. I remember, because you talk about like them teaching it to their children. There's a moment in that film where literally they're doing, they're having like a garden party, and like they've got bunting, like the little flags, and they've all got swastikas on them, and like they've got cupcake with swastikas on them, and so it's so weird. It's like, it's so like absurd.
You couldn't get you. I mean, if you can't get people to make a gay wedding cake, you definitely can't get people to make a Nazi wedding a cupcake. That's a
great film. Black Klansman, obviously. I don't know if you've seen Black Klansman.
Oh, I like that movie. Yeah, I like that one.
That's one of the few ones where, even though it's uncomfortable, there's a lot of fun in that one as well. Like, because you just can't believe that, like, like this guy did it. Like, an African American man like went undercover and like took down a Nazi party. Like, the Ku Klux Klan. It wasn't. I mean, it's all hate. It's all the same.
It's all hate. Yeah.
American History X is fantastic. A really upsetting movie. But yeah. What else is on your honorable mentions? Or is that it?
I think, they were like my honorable mentions. Like, obviously there are like a lot of other movies that I love and adore. But I think those are definitely my faves. And really? But my faves always like change, but like I said, I was definitely a Twilight fan as like a teen. I am definitely not one now. It's definitely one of those movies that I always go back to and rewatch. Like if I'm in a sook phase, I'll just like, I'm just gonna be like broody like Edward, and like I will watch Harry Potter like from the first movie to the last movie at least 2 or 3 times a year, and not be bothered by it. I can quote most of it, much to everybody's displeasure who watches it with me. But I wouldn't say like they're my absolute favorite purely just because like I don't know, none of them like really changed my life. But I do like they do bring, especially Harry Potter brings this like weird nostalgia back for me because it was such a huge thing in primary school, especially the books. I was very much into the books. I had to read them, the day I got it. I wouldn't stop reading until I was finished because I could not go to school and have someone else know more about it than me. So because then they'd talk about it and then ruin it for me. So like and watching the movies just makes me feel this like I'm still like a kid almost. But these ones definitely have left like a lasting impression for like a little bit of a different reason. So yeah.
Absolutely. And I don't think there's any. I don't think there's so much like film shaming out there. Like, and it's not a new thing. It's been around for a while. Like I still watch Twilight. I still watch Harry Potter. First, the Harry Potter films are a great ride. Like, they're really, really fun. Twilight, although not my thing, like I get it. Like, I understand like the appeal. I've seen most of those films because I dated a girl who was a teenager when we started dating. So like, so she was into them. So I've seen most of those films, and like, whilst they're not my cup of tea, like I get it. Like, I just, my whole philosophy with this whole show has been like, you know what? There are no bad films. Like, like there's just taste, and taste is, taste is right and wrong. Like, there's no definitive with taste. So, um, I think it's fine to like Twilight if you like Twilight.
I think it's more so like now as an adult, it's definitely I'm part of like these like meme groups about it on Facebook, and like they're so funny because all they do is like take the Mickey out of it, and like it's more fun to laugh because that like it's poorly written, it's written by, and like when you go like look more into it, the author, like the reason that she's made a lot of the decisions that she did in the book and like why a lot of it doesn't really make sense to a normal person is because a lot of her like writing was influenced by her religion. Like there's a reason why Edward, as a 17-year-old, like immortalized, did not want to sleep with his teenage girlfriend because no, you have to wait till marriage because that's what she feels.
I
The
didn't know
reason
that.
why
That's interesting.
yeah, the reason why Jacob is a werewolf is, and she refers to them as like the like the lower and like your position to like the vampires more, is because she's also like not that much into immigrants and the native Native Americans.
Wow.
Yeah, so like it's
Wow.
yeah, so
I didn't know that. That like, I mean, I'm not going to say that I certainly don't agree with it, but gee, it makes it more interesting. Like,
so like obviously like on face value, look, it's a very much teenager lovey like story, but like when I start to learn more about it, I'm like, geez, like I ate this up as a teenager, like thinking it was so like it was very popcorny, but now it's something that I can laugh at. But the music in it is very good, I will
I was
say
going to
that.
say, you know what? Like, that baseball scene's pretty entertaining. Like, like I've seen the movie. Like I've told you, like it's not a great movie, but that baseball scene where they're playing in the thunderstorm and like Muse is playing in the background, like it's a well put together scene. Like it's fun. Like there's weird stuff in there, calling him a little spider monkey and stuff like that.
Definitely.
I know what you're thinking. He's not going to be able to drop any quotes from Twilight, and I know I'm going to lose all respect from the listeners, but that's okay. I'll
That's fantastic.
I'll ignore a girl and blame it on the fluorescence. I can keep going. Like,
What always makes me laugh so much is like when she walks into the classroom and the fan's blowing behind her, and like he cops a waft of like her scent, but it's just like it's like, oh my God, imagine if someone walked into like a room and had the worst BO, like that's the same face he would make. And he looks so disgusted. But in the book, he's like, oh, like he's so tortured and like, oh no, like I can't be around her because I just want to kill her so bad. But like in the movie, it's like, oh God, you absolutely reek. Oh, you're disgusting. And he's like so on edge trying to get away from her. And she's like, she even like tilts her head down and like sniffs her armpit. Like, is there some, do I stink? And it just makes me laugh because it's like, of course you would think it's it's a bad thing about you not thinking, why is this guy being so rude?
I read that book again because like my wife was way into it, so I was like, well, I'll show interest, I'll show interest in what you like, and I thought that book had a like it's not a great book, it had a great ending. Like, why wouldn't you end it there? Like, in the like, for those who don't know, and again, like, people be like, "You read Twilight?" Yeah, I read Twilight. Like, it ends with him putting his lips to her neck, and you don't know whether he's giving her a kiss or he's about to bite her. I'm like, that's it. Don't make it a cliffhanger till the next book. Like, finish it there. Like, what a great ending. And then but there's way less money if you end it at one. If you do 4 movies divided into 5, like, you make a lot more money.
That's it. That's correct.
Nice one. Well, as we finish every episode, I know you're very aware, we do the rapid fire question round, which has become a not so rapid fire question round. I know you've heard it a bunch of times, but you said you weren't prepared, which is fine. Let's see how we go. So, nice, easy. Nice softball to begin with, Gabby. What was the last movie you watched?
Not counting my list.
Oh, that's a good
point. Because I watched
hit.
some of those.
I'll do both. You tell me the last thing you watched from your list and the last thing before that.
I watched Memoirs of a Geisha this morning just to like refresh my memory, just to make sure it was still in the list in case I needed to interchange it with one of the others.
Mm-hmm.
But before that, I watched Mad Max Fury Road.
Had you seen it before?
No.
Okay, well, what did you think?
I thought it was spectacular.
It's great.
It was amazing.
I remember when that film came out, everyone made a big deal out of it, like, oh, it's amazing. And the first time I watched it, I was like, oh, like, it's good, but like, it's just, like, the story is very simple. And it took me a little while to realize, like, that's the point. Like, it's not the story. Like, look at what, and then you hear about how they made it, how it's pretty much all practical effects. And there's a guy hanging around on a trampoline with a guitar. And
that part was so funny.
It's a great movie.
The whole like mother's milk thing, I was like, what the hell?
It's a really, really wonderful movie. And what a great opportunity for that guy who made the original Mad Max back in the 80s to come back 30 years later and deliver that, which is incredible.
Yeah, I thought that was great.
That's a good last movie you watched. Okay. We all have it. What's been sitting on your watch list forever? What's that one thing you just keep putting off?
I mean, I think I see like movies on like Netflix and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, that'll be a good watch. And then I don't watch it. Because again, I always go back to the same stuff. Oh, another honorable mention is like the John Wick series. I know that there's nothing fantastic about the story, but also there is. And I think he just plays it so well. I just love everything about that. I would have to let's go in and have a look because I'll see one and I'm like, oh, I really want to watch that.
Those John Wick films are great. I remember I saw the first one, I was like, yeah, it's fine. But like, I thought the first one was overrated, but 2 is solid. And 3, so 3 have that like knife fight in the weapons store where there's just infinite weapons, and then he ends up riding away on a horse. Like, it's so ridiculous.
I went to the cinemas and watched that with my dad and my sister because they both also love it. And we were all just like, oh my God, yes, get him. Oh, it was just so great.
It's okay if you don't have an answer. Like, not everyone can answer everything.
Pianist.
Wow, I've never seen that one either, but my wife raves about it. I would say every 3 months she's like, watch The Pianist? And I'm like, yeah, we should watch The Pianist. And then we didn't get back to it, but it's meant to be incredible. And I think it's another World War II film, so right up my alley.
Yeah.
That's been on my watch list forever as well, so there you go. All right, Gabby, are you a movie crier?
I'm terrible. I'm absolutely hopeless. One that always gets me is Still Magnolias.
Oh, okay.
Like, has me sobbing. Same with My Girl as well.
Oh, that's a tough one. Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh. Even like I watched Remember the Titans. I've seen it so many times. I know what's gonna happen. I still cry. Um, The Book Thief, I cried. Like I was in the cinema and I was bawling my eyes out.
Mm.
And I think I was on a date too. And they're like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yep, we don't need to talk
Yeah.
about it."
I don't want to judge a date, but if they have to ask you, like question you're crying in a movie, that's not so good.
Yeah, I was
And
like,
that's on them.
like, wasn't it sad for you too? They're like, yeah, I guess. I'm like, okay, you don't have a heart then. That's fine.
All right, Gabby, is there an actor or actress that you'll follow anywhere? It doesn't matter what the movie is, there you're going to watch it.
Mm, I don't think so, but I think like there are certain actors or actresses that I watch their films just because they're in it. And
Mhm.
then like if I like it, I like it. If I don't, I don't. Like Julia Roberts, I really like her, like, late 90s, like early 2000s movies. Like I really enjoy them. Like
Yeah, she
Aaron
had a string of
Brockovich,
them.
my best friend's wedding, Pretty Woman, like all of those. Like I love those movies. Um, Leonardo DiCaprio is another one. Like I
Yeah.
think because I watched uh, Love and Basketball, I think it's called.
Yep. Oh, the
Um,
Basketball Diaries.
oh, Basketball Diaries. That's right. Sorry. Um, and obviously Romeo and Juliet.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of his like really early stuff when he was young, like Titanic and all that sort of stuff, and then like going into like his like Shutter Island and Catch Me If You Can and like Wolf of Wall Street. Like I saw that on a date and like that was like for me. I liked the movie, but there was so much that was like, God, what a dog, like what a gross character. But that's who the guy
We
is.
talked about American History X being unsettling, but this is unsettling in a whole different way. I think I said on an episode with Nick, we talked about Wolf of Wall Street, and after I said, I watched that with my wife, and after she's like, I don't think I'd be around men for a while. It's like fair enough. Like it's pretty gross.
Yeah, I was like, oh, like what a yuck guy. And then the guy who I was with, he's like, oh, what a legend. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, maybe you should take a step back and reevaluate because he was in jail, so can't be that much of a legend.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I love a lot of his movies. I think, I feel like I haven't, I think he got the Oscar for The Revenant. That's the one I haven't seen.
It's look, a lot of people were like, look, he's getting it now because he should have got it, 3 years ago, that kind of thing, or like one of those almost honorary Oscar or kind of Oscar Academy Awards. I don't dislike The Revenant, but for me, it's definitely not my favorite Leo film. I think I won't say too much because if you haven't seen it, you should see it yourself. It's definitely very impressive, but for me, I was like, eh. Like one of the big things they made about it is like he's a vegetarian and he ate meat for the role, which to me was like, okay, well that was a choice. Like they could have just like he didn't have to. Like it's a movie. Props for dedication to your craft, but like there's definitely a way around it. But it's like it's an interesting flick, and I should give it another go. Like I didn't love it the first time, but I should give it another watch. But it is a long film as well. But Tom Hardy's in it; he's great. So
There you go. I think that's really I don't think I gravitate so much towards actors and actresses because I'm more like if they do a really good performance, I'm like, yeah, they're amazing, love them, they're the best. But then like they do one thing and I don't like them, and I'm like, all right, you're out next.
so fickle.
Whereas like I know, but whereas I'm like very much loyal to like musicians, like. So I'll be like, oh yeah, they did this. It wasn't my favorite, but I'll still listen to it. This wasn't my favorite album, but like the album before that and the album after that, like they killed it. Whereas like actors and actresses, I think I'm not like obsessed with.
Yeah, sure. No, that's fine. I like to think that if an actor's really good, it doesn't matter how bad the movie is, they'll do something to make it interesting at least. So yeah, nice one. As I said before, we're not really negative, but what is the worst film we've ever seen?
Sausage Party.
Oh, I agree with you.
I thought it was so shit. Sorry for swearing, but
Yeah, no, I agree. Again, like I remember I watched that and I was looking forward to it. 'Cause I'm like, oh, it's like we've had adult animation before, but this is it's Seth Rogen and Nick Kroll and it's a really good cast. I'm gonna love this. And I remember I watched it with my wife and I was like, it just felt like it was trying to be like inappropriate for the sake of being appropriate. Like it didn't feel clever.
it was so dumb. And like I love dumb humor. Okay, like I love movies like Ace Ventura and Dumb and Dumber and like even later like Step Brothers and things like that are like stupid funny. I love those movies, but I just thought like, oh, okay, how many like F words can you put into like a joke to
That's
make
what
the
I
joke
felt.
funny?
Yeah.
And look, I swear like a trooper, okay. I still didn't think it was that funny. I have like friends who think it's hilarious, and I just think, like there are parts in it that are like heh heh heh. Or like the laugh that you do when you just like breathe air out of your nostrils.
Yeah.
I was not impressed at all. I just thought, God, I actually walked out of the cinema. I just thought
Wow.
this is shit.
I haven't really heard anyone speak about that film since, but I remember when I watched it, then I was like, oh, like, and that whole third act, like, I was just like, this just feels like they're like, how dirty can we make this movie? Like, thankfully, Nick Kroll then went on to make Big Mouth, which I think is actually really
Yeah,
wonderful. Like, even though it is filthy, it's a lot cleverer. I think there's a lot more like emotion in it than Sausage Party. So I'm glad
definitely.
he got a chance to do adult animation again properly. But yeah, I agree. Sausage Party's not a good movie. Like I'm glad for people who like it, but it's just not my thing at all.
Yeah, not for me. I just thought, oh, what a letdown. Because, like, you're right, there are like funny actors in it. Like, I think Seth Rogen is like a funny actor. I've seen him in other things, and like, his a lot of his work with James Franco. Um, like I thought that was really funny. And like he's done a lot of really good writing as well. But it's just like,
Yeah, it's a tough one. I'm so glad you mentioned that because I haven't really heard anyone speak about it, but I definitely feel the same way.
okay, good.
All right,
We can
and
be
then
friends after this.
excellent. Good. I'm glad that our friendship's not at stake. And then last question. You made it. We're at the last question. What is the one film they should never remake?
This is really selfish, but I don't want them to remake Harry Potter. And I know that they probably could in like because I understand the Fantastic Beasts side of it. Like I actually don't mind those. I don't love them, but I don't mind them. But like I don't want there to be another Harry. I don't want there to be another Hermione or Ron or Hagrid or like I don't want that. I don't want there to be another Malfoy. I think they are perfect the way they are. I think you could show them to kids in 10 years' time who are like my age when I first watched it, and it would still be like, oh, okay, cool. Like, look, it might not be what they're interested in at the time, but they can still appreciate it for what it is. I think like I want that to be mine. Like I want that to be my thing. When I was growing up, I know that there are like heaps of movies that were like, if you think about one movie from your or like a movie series from your childhood that was like distinctively yours, that's for my age group, that's ours. So like, no, I don't want anyone else to have that.
I think that's a good answer. Like, and it's tough because, like, you're right. Like, they're making this new Lord. I've talked about this a few times now. This Lord of the Rings show coming out, and it's like I understand. Like, they spend a lot of money on. I know they can, like, with streaming, they can tell a much larger story. But I know those movies are pretty good. Like, do we need it?
I don't know if you can like, because this is the thing. If you can't top it, what's the point?
And we've seen what
you're
happens.
wasting my time.
Yeah, and we've seen what happens when they do it. And like, it's not all bad. Like, there are some remakes out there that are pretty good. I'm trying to think of one off the top of my head now that I can't, which is not a good sign. Oh well, The Departed. The Departed is a great remake of an Asian film called Infernal Affairs. There are some good remakes out there, but yeah, it's tough. So no, I think it's a good answer.
Thanks.
There you go. I'm like frantically scanning my wall of movies. I'm like, what movies on that's a remake that I can say is good? But I can't find it off the top of my head. That's
I
fine.
think like the only ones I can think of that's like that I can just think of at the top of my head was that Jumanji film, which like it was a remake, but they took it in a different direction that was sort of like more appropriate for today's audiences. Because like, let's be real, how many kids are playing board games nowadays?
Oh,
Like
did you say
like,
Jumanji?
yeah, like everyone might be familiar with maybe Monopoly, but like other than that, not board games are not as huge now as they were perhaps when you or I were kids. So like they took it in a video game route, and even still they made it like was it like an Atari or something that they put like
Something
that it
like
was
that.
the console? Yeah, so like they made it like old and new, and I thought that was really smart the way they did it. It didn't follow the same sort of like it had similar like plots from the past, but like, and they even did a nod back to the original. But I thought like what they did with it was actually really good.
I
I
agree.
can't say
Yeah,
the same.
that's a really good example. For the most part, I find the best remakes are the horror ones. You know, um,
Yes.
like I like the Friday the 13th remake. I like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake. I even like Nightmare on Elm Street remake. I know a lot of people don't. I like it. Fright Night, I thought that was fun. Like there are a lot of horror is where I think the remakes really succeed because there's less expectation.
Yeah, and I think also they can make things scarier now. Like my dad has, you know how I said fear is learned.
Mhm.
I have a fear of spiders because of my dad. And he said that like one movie that always got him was Arachnophobia because it just seems so real. He said even now, like I haven't watched it in a long time, but if I did, I still feel like it would scare me. And it's
It's
not
funny
something that
because it is
I've
a
ever
comedy. It's got John Goodman in it, I'm pretty sure. Like it is.
like it's not something that I've ever been tempted to watch, but I feel like if like they remake like scary movies, they have now all the CGI and all that sort of stuff to really make things like feel real. Because like if you watch things like the Nightmare on Elm Street, like 1, 2, and 3, I've seen all of those, and like while they are like still scary and the character is still like very frightening, visually what you're seeing, you're used to something that's so much more real looking that you're like, oh well.
I like that. I like the old practical effects, but I hear you as well. Yeah. Nice one. That's it. You survived. You made it from start to finish. There we go.
Well, thanks for having me.
No, you're very welcome. You'll definitely be back on again if you decide you want to do it.
Most definitely.
So that wraps up this week's episode of I Was a Teenage Film Snob. Obviously, I want to thank Gabby for spending some time with me. We had almost 2 hours together in the end, which was really nice. As always, you can listen to the show on Spotify Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Anchor FM. Please follow the Instagram page, I Was a Teenage Film Snob. I post up photos of my Blu-ray collection just about every day. And I also share bits and pieces on there as well. So that's going to do it. As we say every week, oh, that was not good. I lost my voice. As we say on the show every week, I was a teenage film snob, but I'm trying to be better. We'll see you next week.